The delivery arrived at 9:47 in the morning. I heard it before I saw it. The particular sound of a wheeled cart moving across the floor of an open-plan office. Wheels on industrial carpet. The soft mechanical protest of something heavy being moved with care. I looked up from my monitor. A young man in a green apron was pushing a cart loaded with arrangements. Red roses, white lilies, pink tulips wrapped in craft paper. The kind of Valentine's Day delivery that offices receive when someone wants to make a gesture large enough to be witnessed. My colleague Dana saw them first. She was 3 desks to my left and had the natural radar for anything that disrupted the rhythm of a Tuesday morning. She sat up straight, smiled. "Oh," she said, "someone is very loved today." The delivery man consulted his clipboard. Read a name, walked to a desk, then another name, another desk, then another. I watched him move through the floor. 12 women on our level. He stopped at 11 of them. He did not stop at mine. I watched Dana receive hers. Pink tulips. She read the card and laughed and showed her neighbor. I watched Priya at the window desk receive red roses and press them to her face and breathe in deeply. I watched the cart make its careful way around the room and stop 11 times and never once pause at the desk in the 3rd row, second from the left, where I had been sitting for 2 years, where I sat now, very still, looking at my monitor without seeing anything on it. The delivery man reached the end of the floor, checked his clipboard one more time, nodded to himself with the satisfaction of someone who has completed a task cleanly, turned the cart around, wheeled it back toward the elevator. He did not look at me. He did not need to. I was not on his list. The floor was filling with the smell of flowers now, warm and sweet and completely suffocating. My name is Diane. I am 31 years old. I have worked at Crestfield Marketing Solutions for 4 years. I am a senior account strategist. I manage 7 accounts, 3 of which I brought to the company through my own professional network. I am good at my job, thorough, creative, the kind of employee whose clients ask for specifically and whose manager mentions and reviews as someone with a bright future at the firm. I have also been in a relationship with Marcus Webb, senior creative director at the same firm, for 2 years. We had been careful at first. The kind of careful that people are careful when they work together and understand that office relationships require discretion. We told HR after 3 months, which was required. We kept our professional interactions professional. We did not display affection at work. We maintained the boundaries that working couples maintain when they understand the environment they are in. Or I had maintained them. I believed we both had. I had been wrong about several things where Marcus was concerned. That was becoming clearer by the minute as I sat at my desk and watched 11 of my colleagues admire flowers I had not received. The card on Dana's arrangement said, I learned later, simply, Happy Valentine's Day. Just the initial. Enough to be mysterious in a way that invited speculation. Enough to be deniable in a certain light. Not enough to be honest. I had been with Marcus for 2 years. I had met his friends. His sister had come to visit in October and the 3 of us had dinner and she had hugged me at the end of the night and said she was glad he had found someone. I had keys to his apartment. He had a drawer at mine. He had sent flowers to every woman on our floor except me. Not an oversight, not a logistical error. You do not accidentally omit one person from a list of 12. You do not accidentally omit the person you are in a relationship with. You do not accidentally fail to include your girlfriend in a Valentine's Day gesture while including everyone else she works beside. You make that choice deliberately, for a reason. I sat with that understanding for 3 minutes, let it settle into something solid and known. Then I opened my desk drawer, took out a notepad, wrote 4 words on it. Do not react visibly. Set it where I could see it, and went back to work. My manager, Teresa, appeared at my desk at 10:15. She was 52 and had the particular energy of someone who had been in professional environments long enough to read them accurately. She looked at my desk, at the absence of flowers, at my face, which I had arranged into the expression of someone who is focused on work. Diane, she said quietly, I am sorry. I am fine, I said. Thank you. She studied me for a moment with the eyes of someone who knew I was not fine and also knew that this was not the place and this was not the time and that I was handling it in the only way that made sense to handle it at work. She nodded, moved on. Marcus appeared at my desk at 11. He was the kind of man who was described as charming by people who had not yet seen the other side of that charm. Medium height, good hair, The easy confidence of someone who had always been the most creative person in most rooms he had occupied. He wore it lightly, which was part of what made it convincing. He set a small gift bag on my desk, white tissue paper visible above the edge. He smiled the smile that had convinced me of many things over 2 years. "Happy Valentine's Day," he said. I looked at the gift bag, then at him. "Thank you," I said. My voice was even, professional, the voice I used in client meetings when something unexpected happened and I needed to continue without disruption. "I thought we could do dinner tonight," he said. "That place you have been wanting to try. 8 o'clock. "I will let you know," I said. He paused, waited for something more, some softening, some warmth that he had apparently expected regardless of what he had just done to every woman on this floor and the one woman he had not. I looked back at my monitor. He left. I did not open the gift bag for 2 hours. When I finally did, during a moment when the floor was quiet and I could do it without an audience, I found a bracelet, silver, delicate, the kind of thing that costs enough to say effort was made without costing enough to say anything real. I put it back in the bag, set the bag in my drawer, closed the drawer. Then I opened my personal email. The email I was looking for had arrived 6 weeks ago. A message from a woman named Catherine Moss, who was the managing director of a firm called Aldridge Strategic, a competitor, a better one by most objective measures, larger accounts, higher billing rates, a reputation for the kind of work that won awards and kept clients for decades. Catherine had reached out because she had seen a campaign I had led for one of our clients, said it was the best work she had seen in the category in 3 years, said she had done some research and understood it was largely my concept and my execution, said she would like to have a conversation about whether I would consider joining Aldridge. I had replied politely, said I was happy at Crestfield but would be open to a conversation. We had spoken twice over the following 2 weeks. The conversations had been candid. She had made an offer, a formal one, a title that was 2 levels above where I currently sat, a salary that was 62% higher than what Crestfield paid me, a client portfolio that included 4 of the names I had been pitching Crestfield's leadership to pursue for 18 months without traction. The offer had been sitting in my personal email for 6 weeks. I had not accepted it, had not declined it, had been in the particular limbo of someone who is comfortable enough to hesitate and uncertain enough to wait. I had been waiting for something. I had not known what. I read the offer again now, the title, the salary, the start date that Catherine had said was flexible, but she had penciled in March 1st, the list of accounts I would manage, the team I would lead, the work I would do. I thought about 11 arrangements on a floor of 12 women, about a small silver bracelet in a white gift bag placed on my desk with a smile that expected gratitude, about 2 years of maintaining discretion and keeping things professional and believing that both people in a relationship were operating in good faith. I thought about 18 months of pitching accounts that Crestfield's leadership had not prioritized, about being described as having a bright future while watching the decisions that would create that future being made by people who had not yet decided to take me seriously. I thought about Teresa's face at 10:15, about the notepad in my drawer that said "Do not react visibly," about how long I had been telling myself not to react visibly, at work, in my relationship, in the gap between what I was worth and what I was receiving from both. I opened a new email, addressed it to Catherine Moss at Aldridge Strategic. I wrote 3 sentences. "Dear Catherine, I am writing to formally accept the offer we discussed. I would like to confirm March 1st as my start date. I look forward to joining the team." I saved it to drafts. Then I opened a second email. This one addressed to our Chief Executive Officer, Robert Alderd, with Teresa copied. The subject line read, "Resignation. Diane Okafor, Senior Account Strategist." I wrote it carefully. The kind of resignation letter that is professional and precise and grateful without being dishonest. I thanked the company for 4 years of opportunity. I noted the accounts I had managed and the results we had achieved. I stated my resignation was effective immediately and that I would make myself available for a transition period of 2 weeks should the company require it. I saved it to drafts. Then I worked all afternoon with the complete, focused attention of someone who understands that the last thing you do in a place matters as much as everything that came before it. I cleared my task list, sent updates to each of my clients, filed reports that were due at the end of the week, organized my folders, documented the status of every account in language that would allow whoever came after me to pick up without confusion. I did this without anger, without the particular loud internal noise that betrayal usually generates. With the same professional thoroughness I had always brought to everything at Crestfield, I owed that to the clients. I did not owe it to Marcus or to the institution that had described me as bright future while paying me 62% less than I was worth on the open market. But I gave it anyway, because that was who I was regardless of circumstances. At 4:30, Marcus appeared again, leaned against the partition beside my desk. So, 8 o'clock, I cannot tonight, I said without looking up. Tomorrow then, I will be in touch, I said. He waited, looked at my desk, at the absence of the flowers, at me, working through the end of the afternoon with my head down and my attention entirely elsewhere. Are you all right? He said. I am focused on finishing some things, I said. I will talk to you later. He left. At 4:55, I opened my drafts folder. Read the email to Catherine one more time. Read the resignation letter one more time. Made one small addition to the resignation letter. In the section where I noted accounts, I added a line specifying that my client relationships were personal professional relationships built over 4 years and that clients would be informed of my departure and given the opportunity to make their own decisions about ongoing representation. This was professionally standard, also accurate, also the kind of sentence that a CEO reads and understands immediately. At 4:59, I sent both emails simultaneously. The one to Catherine went first, accepting the offer, confirming March 1st. The resignation letter went 12 seconds later. I closed my laptop, opened my desk drawer, took out the notepad that said "Do not react" visibly and put it in my bag. Took out the gift bag with the silver bracelet and set it on the desk where Marcus would see it. Did not take it with me. I cleared my personal items into the tote bag I had brought that morning. A plan I had been cultivating on my windowsill for a year. A framed photo. A book I had left in my desk 3 weeks ago. 2 personal notebooks. All of it fit in the tote bag without difficulty, which told me something about how prepared I had been, on some level, without quite knowing it. I put on my coat, picked up my bag and my tote, stood at my desk for a moment and looked at the floor around me. At Dana's tulips and Priya's roses and the warm sweet smell of 11 Valentine's Day arrangements from a man who had sent flowers to every woman on the floor except the one he was supposed to love, I walked toward the elevator, past Marcus's office. His door was open. He was on a call, leaning back in his chair, one hand moving through the air in the way he moved it when he was being persuasive. He did not see me. I did not stop. The elevator opened. I stepped in. The doors closed. I was on the street at 5:04. Marcus saw the resignation email at 5:15, according to the read receipt that came through to my phone as I was walking to the subway. He called at 5:16. I did not answer. He texted at 5:17. I read it in the subway car. It said, "What is happening? Call me." I put my phone in my bag. He called 4 more times that evening, left 2 voicemails. The first confused. The second the kind of confused that is really the beginning of understanding and sounds like anger because anger is easier than accountability. Robert Alderd, the CEO, emailed me at 5:42. A brief message. Said he was sorry to receive my resignation. Asked if there was anything he could do to change my mind. Said my work had been exceptional. I replied at 7 that evening from my apartment. Thanked him. Said the decision was final. Said I wished the company well and meant it. Teresa texted me personally at 6. It said, "I understand. I hope wherever you land is worthy of you." I replied, "Thank you for everything." She responded with a single heart. It was the right amount. What happened after that, I learned through professional channels and the occasional message from a colleague I trusted. Robert convened a meeting the following morning. Marcus was present. The subject was client continuity given my departure. 3 of my 7 clients had already sent emails overnight asking to speak with me directly. The message I had sent each of them at 4:45, informing them of my resignation in the professional and appropriate terms I had always used with them, had generated exactly the response I had expected from people who had chosen to work with me specifically. Marcus, I was told, had been very quiet in the meeting. The silver bracelet was still on my desk when they arrived that morning. My departure had been so clean that it had looked to several colleagues like I had simply stepped away temporarily. No clearing of the desk that anyone had noticed. No dramatic exit. Just a coat put on at the end of the day and a walk to the elevator and a door that had closed without ceremony. The gift bag with the tissue paper still sticking out was the only sign that anything had changed. Catherine emailed me at 8 in the morning on February 15th, said she was delighted, said she would send the formal paperwork that afternoon, said the team was looking forward to meeting me. I started at Aldridge on March 1st. The office was different, better light, a desk that faced a window, a team that had been briefed on my arrival and received me with the particular warmth of people who understood why I had been recruited and were glad to have me. On my first day, Catherine took me to lunch at a restaurant near the office. We talked about the accounts I would be managing and the direction she wanted the work to go and the things she hoped I would bring to the team that she had seen in that campaign 18 months ago. She did not ask about Crestfield, did not ask about what had finally made me decide to accept the offer, did not probe the circumstances of a departure that had clearly not been planned a long time ago. She simply talked about the work, about what we were going to build. I had not had a conversation like that in longer than I wanted to admit. Marcus reached out once, a text sent 3 weeks after I left. It said, "I am sorry about the flowers." I panicked. I was afraid people at work would figure it out. I know that is not an excuse. I miss you. I read it, set my phone down, let a day pass. Then I typed, "I know, take care of yourself." Sent it, blocked his number, not out of cruelty, out of clarity. There was nothing left to say that would add to what I already knew. I knew who he had been when it mattered. I knew what he had done when the choice was between honesty and convenience. He had chosen convenience, and I had chosen myself. Valentine's Day arrived again the following year on a Wednesday. I was at Aldridge, a year in, managing accounts that had grown consistently under my leadership. The kind of growth that gets mentioned in quarterly reports and earns the specific professional respect that comes from measurable results. The office received flowers that morning, a delivery from the company itself, small arrangements for everyone on the floor. Catherine's assistant had organized it weeks ago. Every desk received the same thing, simple, white, equally distributed without hierarchy or meaning beyond the gesture. I put mine on my windowsill, looked out at the city for a moment, at the February morning, at the year that had passed and the work I had done and the distance I had traveled from a Tuesday morning when a cart of flowers had gone around a room and stopped everywhere but where I sat. I had not needed the flowers last year. I had needed the clarity they provided. Sometimes the absence of a thing tells you everything the presence of it would not. 11 arrangements, and none for me, had been the clearest information I had received in 2 years of a relationship I should have understood better sooner. It had answered questions I had not known how to ask. It had resolved an uncertainty I had been carrying without acknowledging its weight. And it had given me the moment I needed to send 2 emails at 4:59 on a Tuesday afternoon in February. One accepting a life that was worth more than what I had been settling for. One closing a door behind me with the quiet, final sound of a decision that had already been made and only needed the right moment to become real. I had found the right moment in the space between 11 bouquets and an empty desk. That was enough. That had been more than enough. Here is what I want to know. If your partner sent Valentine's Day flowers to every person you work with except you, would you have done what I did and waited for the right moment to leave on your own terms? Or would you have confronted them immediately and demanded an explanation in front of everyone? Some people say you should always give someone the chance to explain before you act. Others say that some things do not require explanation because they explain themselves completely. Do you think I was right to say nothing all day and simply submit my resignation at 4:59? Or should I have made Marcus face what he had done before I left? And the question that I think about sometimes, if that job offer had not been sitting in your email for 6 weeks, would you have found another way out? Or would you have stayed? Tell me your honest answer in the comments. If you believe people should face the consequences of their actions, hit subscribe. I have got more stories of justice that will blow your mind.